This is one of the first pieces I teach to beginners here in my studio. Of course, they don't play it this fast. I don't want to mislead you about that. But what helps is that the piece is composed of repeating patterns that make it easy to memorize without having to read music. And more to the point, for this lesson, my students get off to a great start because I teach them to play not just with their fingers, but with their wrists, arms, their whole body, you might say. Now maybe you beginners are wondering, why not skip this and go right to a lesson on a favorite piece or song, a tutorial that simply shows you what notes to play, rather than how to play, as we're going to do here. Well, that's because every time you sit down at the piano, you're building habits. And this lesson will help you make great habits from the start, rather than ones that will hold you back. But this video is also for those of you who already play, because the next few minutes may get you thinking about piano technique in a whole new way. If you ask most people how you get sound from the piano, they're going to say, well, that's simple enough. You push, you press down. But you know, there's a better way to do it. All you need to do is to let your weight drop into the key. In other words, let gravity do the work. When you let gravity do the work, you're not likely to develop tension or fatigue as some players do. Another thing that happens is it's easier to control the dynamics. And by dynamics, I mean how loud or soft you're playing. Let's say you're playing a melody with the right hand, as so often happens, over an accompaniment, and you want that melody to sing out. So as I'm doing that, all I'm doing is allowing more weight to sink in to the right side. Believe me, that's so much easier than thinking, how hard do I have to press each note? We're so used to, for example, at a computer keyboard, where you're typing like this and your arms are really controlled and it's all finger action. Well, that's a great way to type, but it's not a great way to play. Now, raise your right arm with your wrist loose. And as you raise it, focus on the sensation of weight. In other words, feel the work that you have to do to lift it up. So raise it to about shoulder level. Keep feeling that work. And then at a certain point, just let it drop. Now, the first time you do this, there's a good chance what's going to happen is you're going to very politely just place your hand down on your leg. That's not what we need. What we need is a real release. And sometimes it takes a little while to get used to that. So that's why we're doing this. And if you really release, if it's a good, honest release, you're going to get a loud slap like that. And do it with both arms. Raise them, feel the weight, release. Let's talk for just a moment about your physical orientation to the piano. Your arms need to be about parallel with the floor. You don't want to be playing like this, nor like this. So if you're sitting on a bench that's adjustable, and you have a keyboard on a stand that's adjustable, you need to give some thought to how they're set up. You need to be sitting up straight or leaning forward just a bit. I'm going to demonstrate this next exercise with my left hand first because it's easier to see from this camera angle. Begin by putting your left thumb on the G below middle C, with one finger on each adjacent white key down to the next C. Or if you prefer to start with your right hand, put your thumb on middle C and position one finger over each white key up to G. It really doesn't matter which hand you start with because they both do essentially the same thing, and you'll need to practice with each hand anyway. With either hand, we're going to start with the thumb. So notice that my hand is forward, with the tip of my thumb just about at the end of the black key, and my other fingers between the black keys. Now this is a good position to get used to because obviously from here you have easy access to the black keys and you won't waste time, you see, moving back and forth like this. Okay, so your elbows should be just simply hanging by your side, your shoulders completely relaxed, not hunched up. All right, now raise your wrist to about this position. You see, with your wrist high like this, you can easily drop down into the note you want to play. So, here's the exercise. Your wrist is up. You focus on the feeling or the sensation of weight, and you drop onto your thumb. The thumb, by the way, is the one finger that plays on its side here. Now, the wrist drops down to what I call parallel position, meaning the back of the hand and the arm form roughly a straight line, and that line is about parallel with the floor or with the keys. You don't want to drop down into this low position. And you see, that's another advantage of staying forward, because if you're forward, you simply can't get into this low position. Okay, so repeat this exercise with each hand until it's easy. Here it is with the right hand. And as you do the exercise, listen to the sound that results. If you're practicing on an acoustic piano, you should be getting a nice full sound, as I am. Remember, other than lifting, you don't have to use your muscle power at all. You simply feel the weight and you release. You focus on the wrist being high and then dropping. So in part one of this tutorial, you've come to understand that great piano playing begins with your body, not just your fingers. You've been learning to use your hands, wrists, and arms to best advantage, and you're discovering how to join forces with gravity to get maximum results for minimum effort. As you practice the exercises in this two-part lesson, you're gaining a truly solid foundation. With the relaxed, efficient technique you're building, I think you'll find that other pieces of the puzzle, even problems that seemed insurmountable before, will begin to fall into place. In part two, we'll go into detail about the fingers, what shape and position works best, and you'll practice a simple scale using arm weight. We'll then apply the same technique to your first chord exercise, because getting a handle on chords is the quickest way to begin playing some really cool music. See you in part 2.